I'm the Vice President of the State of Ohio Fraternal Order of Police. We're here today to kick off the launch of First Responders for Sherrod. Our group, which is made up of police officers, firefighters, and EMS personnel from across Ohio, will be working from now until Election Day to make sure that Senator Sherrod Brown stays in Washington. We'll be talking to voters about Senator Brown's work and long list of accomplishments. It was a long, hard-fought year here in Ohio for first responders and other public employees battling against Senate Bill 5. Public workers and middle-class Ohioans were blamed for Wall Street's collapse, but we banded together against the attacks, and Sherrod Brown stood shoulder to shoulder with us. He was with us every step of the way, fighting for our jobs, our safety, and our communities. A lifelong supporter of workers' rights, collective bargaining, and job creation, Sherrod Brown fights every day in the Senate to expand Ohio's middle class. For that, he can count on Ohio's first responders' support in his re-election. And also, thanks Senator Brown for walking around with us last year in November in some of those cold autumn days. And jacket for you. And it's now my pleasure to turn it over to my friend, Ohio Association of Professional Firefighters President Mark Sanders.
Thank you, Gary, and it's an honor for me, Mark Sanders. I'm president of the Ohio Association of Professional Firefighters. It's an honor to be standing here with my colleagues in public safety, our police officers from the FOP who represent our brothers in blue from across Ohio, and some representatives here today from our Ohio Professional Firefighters, Columbus, Elyria, and across the state. Again, I'm Mark Sanders, and I have a little history with Senator Sherrod Brown, my father, who also was in this position representing firefighters across the state of Ohio. A very short time ago, I would say, Senator, that he and my father were working together. My father from Marion, Sherrod from Mansfield, to really launch the efforts of Senator Brown's career to protect the middle class, to protect the public safety officers that we are representing here today. And in fact, when Ohio's collective bargaining law was instituted in Ohio, Senator Sherrod Brown stood up and ensured that public safety officers across Ohio had the same rights as every other worker across this country, and that is the right to sit at the bargaining table and talk about their workplace. Certainly Ohio's citizens support that effort as well, as we saw last year, and as polling continues to show that. So it goes without saying, there's no greater friend than Senator Sherrod Brown for Ohio's firefighters and our middle class here in Ohio. We're in the fight of our lives, as I said, and he was there with us. In February, as we started our journey last year against Senate Bill 5, Sherrod Brown was with us in the cold and the snow, and yes, locked out of the State House. But he stood there with us, as 2.1 million voters across Ohio stood with us and voted to ensure that we had a place at the table when talking about very important issues that affect the public safety and our communities across Ohio. He was there on the front lines, as we are every day in Ohio, protecting public safety and protecting our members and our citizens and our communities. He's helped ensure first responders have had the proper equipment and proper staffing through fire grants and through safer grants and his tenure in the Senate. He's brought back tens of millions of dollars in Ohio, and as we hear in a moment, specifically to Elyria, and most recently in Middletown and other cities in Ohio, to ensure that as our local government funds are being cut, he is working in Washington, D.C. to make sure that we still have firefighters on the front lines to protect our citizens and our communities in Ohio. He continues to have our backs, and I can tell you that Ohio's firefighters will continue to have his back. We need Sherrod Brown to continue his good work in Columbus. As he's being beat about by outside interests and the tens of millions of dollars that will be flooding into Ohio, I can tell you that he will have maybe not the biggest budget in the world from firefighters and public safety workers across Ohio, but he's going to have members of our safety organizations who are going to be out working for Sherrod. And that is where this gets done, on the ground, in the neighborhoods, with our families, friends, colleagues, to spread the word about how Sherrod Brown has supported firefighters and police officers across this state. Certainly, dollars cannot beat our grassroots effort. Our opponents want to keep Senator Brown out of Washington. They want to keep Senator Brown from returning to Columbus to fight for the middle class, to fight to ensure that we have Medicare, that our retirees and our pension system are put on at the age of 65. We want to make sure he is there to protect that, protect Medicare, protect Social Security, protect veterans benefits, and protect police officers and firefighters with his good work in Washington, D.C. So to that end, I want to just introduce President Dean Marks out of Elyria, who has a little presentation, and then I'll wrap up. Elyria twice, and you'll hear in a minute, was helped by the efforts of Senator Brown in Washington. As Ohio's cities are struggling to cope with the budget cuts here in Ohio, the local government funds, his work has been instrumental to ensure that our cities like Elyria continue to survive and continue to protect our Ohioans and our communities. To that end, he's taken a lot of attacks by his opponents, and here to present him with something that will protect him as he takes those attacks as he moves across Ohio with firefighters. I want to introduce Dean Marks, and again, let you know that firefighters will have your back. Dean?
On behalf of the citizens of Elyria, all the firefighters in Elyria, and actually everyone across the state of Ohio, for what Sherrod Brown has done for us in Ohio, or in Elyria, we were going to lose 23 guys, which essentially closed all but one of our firehouses, and essentially we were running out of one firehouse with only 6 members to protect a city of 60,000 people. It was with the help of Sherrod Brown, not just support, but letters, and keeping on FEMA, that we were awarded the SAFER grant, and we're able to open those stations back up and return all guys back to the job. So on behalf of the citizens of Elyria and the firefighters of Elyria and all over the state, we'd like to present this helmet to him, not to only protect him, but to let him know that for having our backs, we'd like to make him an honorary firefighter in the city of Elyria.